Okay, this is it. The last video I'm going to do for the entire year. This is the last big, giant video over the entire Constitution. I'm going to break it up in parts. Tell you the general stuff you need to know for each part. Not every question, obviously, but just the ideas that you need to know for each part. So there are 80 some odd questions to the whole test. Here's the first part, birth of the Constitution. What you should know in this particular part for the first 8 questions has to do with the Constitution itself. What did it replace? It replaced the Articles of Confederation. Why did it replace the Articles of Confederation? You should know that. It has to do with the fact that they were limited in their government ability, so specifically their ability to tax. What does the Constitution do? Well, it's like the structure of like our government, like how it looks, who's where, and how do you get there, how long do you stay there, and also the rights of the people. You should know some of the original people who came up with the Constitution, who were against it, who were for it, so the Federalists and Anti-Federalists. The Anti-Federalists, they were against it, but the reason why they were against it is because they wanted more individual rights to be outlined. So they wanted a Bill of Rights to be placed in the Constitution. The Federalists wanted a strong central government, so they were totally for the Constitution the way it was written. Talk about the Articles of Confederation, obviously. Talk about the Declaration of Independence, written by Thomas Jefferson. And the fact that he talks about this idea of inalienable rights, which is the idea that rights that you cannot be taken away, rights that are standard within every human being on the planet. So that's the first section, about 8 questions about the birth of the Constitution. The next section is all about L-E-J, and that is about the legislative, executive, judicial branch. And it's like questions 9 through 15. So those several questions have to do with the main branches of government. What does the legislative do? Well, they create the laws. They make the laws. They're made out of 2 House body of Congress, which is the House and the Senate. Who's the head of it? There's really no head of it, but there's the Speaker of the House, and there is the President of the Senate, which is the Vice President who casts a tiebreaker vote, Kamala Harris. Know about the E in the ledge, the executive branch. Who's the top there? Well, the top there is going to be the President of the United States. What do? They enforce the laws. So you need to know all about these different things of the different branches. Judicial branch, obviously the Supreme Court is the top dog there, and they interpret the law. So know those basics of all those different types of government, and that should help you out there. The next section is the principles of government. This is the questions 16 through 20, and this has to do with the checks and balances, republicanism, federalism, limited government, individual rights or basic rights. So know those 7 principles of government. Because there's not 7 questions, so not all of them will be in this section, but there will be some in this question. So give examples of checks and balances. The fact that the the president can appoint a judge is a check on the judicial branch. They can veto a law is a check on the legislative branch. Know the idea of federalism, how there's like 2 circles, right? And sometimes these circles intertwine. It's the federal government, it's the state government. Sometimes they share power. That's federalism. Know about your basic rights and how they cannot be taken away. The next section of the Constitution is amendments altogether. So like there's this giant in the middle section of amendments, and then it's broken up into 4 parts. Part 1, excuse me, questions 21 through 28, give or take. That one is going to be multiple choice for the amendments. And part 1 has to do with giving you scenarios about different scenarios that involve the amendments. And you have to tell me what amendments are being violated based on the scenario. So you'll see those when you get those. As long as you know the amendments, you should know what amendment was violated. Think of your keywords. Think of when you hear the word gun or firearm, you know it's Amendment 2. If it has to do with somebody like breaking into or not lawfully searching your property, that's Amendment 4. Just really make sure if you know what the amendments are, these scenarios shouldn't pose any kind of problem. That brings us to part 2 of the amendments. That's all matching, and it's the Bill of Rights. It's Amendments 1 through 10. You simply will match up the amendment to the description. You've done these before. You should have these down. Should be easy. Part 3 is Amendments 11 through 20. Some of these might be difficult, but generally speaking, the majority of these, you should have these down like the back of your hand. It's just a simple matching. And that's questions 36 through 45 for Amendments 11 through 20. And finally, Amendments 21 through 27. A couple of these should be easy. But some of these we haven't really spent a lot of time on, so they're going to be a little difficult. So just remember those amendments as much as you can. 21, you can drink. 22, 2 terms. 23, DC. 23, DC. DC can vote. 24, poll tax, which is probably going to be one of the most widely missed ones. 25, the president's too sick. Vice president takes over. 26, you can vote at 18. 26, 18. 2 plus 6 is 18. I know it doesn't equal 18, but just try to do that to remember it. And then 27, the most important amendment of all time. Congress can vote for their own pay raises, and you know how amazingly important that is to your lives. So those are all the amendments. That goes all the way to question 52 on this 80-something question test. So make sure you know those amendments in and out. Which brings us to the next section, and that is the legislative branch by itself. And that's questions 53 through 60. You should know all the numbers. So you should know how many members are in the House and how many members in the Senate. 435 in the House, 100 in the Senate. You should know how long their terms are. There's 2-year terms for the House, 6-year terms for the Senate. You should know your representatives. You should know the people in there. So you should know who the Speaker of the House is, Nancy Pelosi. You should know who the Vice President is, Kamala Harris, because she is also the person that does the tiebreaker vote in the Senate. I know she's the executive branch, but she also serves in the legislative branch to a certain extent. You should know what district you live in, 17. You should know who your representative is, Sherry Bustos. You should know which house is based on population. You should know all of these wonderful things. Okay. Next section is questions 61 through 65, and that's the executive branch. It's actually a relatively short section, and it should be the easiest. Know who the vice president is, know their terms, know how long each year or how many years per term. Know who actually elects the president, so electoral college. Know what else do you need to know? Know different types of ways they restrain power from the other branches, like vetoes, that type of thing, and know who takes over when the president dies or vice president dies, and that whole chain of command there. So next section is judicial branch and the articles, questions 66 through, it's a pretty good amount because the articles add a lot of questions, 66 through 74. This is pretty simple. Know the judicial branch in and out. You already know what they do. They interpret the laws, but know like the number of judges on the Supreme Court. 9, know that how they can serve for life. Know they don't have any requirements to actually they have to meet in order to become president. Know how many articles in the Constitution. 7, know what each article does, and it goes in this order. So Article 1 is the legislative, Article 2 is executive, Article 3 is judicial, Article 4 has to do with states' rights, making new states, Article 5 is making amendments, Article 6 is the supremacy of the Constitution. In other words, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. Number 7 is ratification. Know about ratification. It took 9 states to ratify. And it also was ratified in 1788 when the 9th state said, yay, to the Constitution. So remember that one date in this entire year is you had to know is 1788, so make sure you know that. Then it gets to the final 2 sections of the Constitution, and that is section, I don't know what section we're on here, but it's powers of the branches, questions 75 through 80. Basically, you know this stuff, but it's just asking you in a different way. I'm giving you a power that one branch holds. So like, who does impeachments? Legislative branch. They do impeachments for both judicial and the executive branch, so that's their power. Who does pardons? That's going to be the executive branch. You should know who does pardons. And what a pardon is basically a get-out-of-jail-free card that a president can put on anybody they choose. Know what the judicial branch does. They can declare things unconstitutional. That is a check on the legislative branch. So know all these different checks and balances that you can see between the branches. You know them. I just haven't asked those kind of type of questions specifically in the test format before, so you'll get that. Then finally, questions 81 through 84 is going to be a special set of questions that you guys will do just fine on, and maybe not, but it's only like 4, so you'll see. All right, be ready. It was fun. It was exciting. We're almost there. Peace.